ladies and gentlemen, have I got a treat for you. We've got another match coming up here tonight, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Coming to you from the Eki division, we've got number 29, JHobz, versus number 29, Fant. These two runners are 3 seconds apart in their PBs. It's going to be absolutely incredible. Here to bring you the action, my name is Vol'jin, and I'm here with Richard. Richard, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing very, very well, Vula. We have this match. It's an elimination match in the round of 48, as you can see here. The winner of this match going to be facing off against Covert Muffin. And both of these players have been, playing quite a lot of Ori recently, and we will be seeing a very close match between them.
That is for sure. And there's, boy, I just can't even tell you how many storylines there are to talk about in this race. But let's start with how these runners came to us. JHobz is a longtime member of the community. He saw this game, I think, via Spike Vegeta, and came to know how amazing it is, and he wanted to run it. And so he's been with us for quite a while. Fant joined the Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze community as his first sub-community in the speedrun, kind of sphere. And through that, he met JHobz, and JHobz actually brought him to the Ori community. So now they're going head-to-head in this elimination match, and there's just so much on the line here. Richard, between these two runners, what preparation have they been doing, and what are we going to expect to see tonight?
So with both of these runners, Fant has been practicing nearly every single night, making sure that he's able to put a couple hours of practice in. JHobz, having been on and off with Ori in the last few months, has grinded out many runs. He even did a long marathon stream where he just grinded out no resets of Ori. And you can see here on the stats page, both players have the same best race time. So that's how you know that we are going to be in for an exciting match.
That is absolutely correct. And of course, you also see the average race time is very close, with a slight advantage to JHobz, largely due to Fant having kind of the one race that was very spaghetti filled, but he has improved substantially since then. You see his PB has improved by 5 minutes and 15 seconds since the beginning of the tournament. JHobz has not been able to surpass his mark from last year during the tournament. So possibly a bit of frustration for JHobz. He's been having a tough time between his input method giving him problems and different tricks in the run, making life hard for him. So that could be a story here between him and Fant, as Fant, has been having a lot of success with the game lately, and JHobz really seems to not have been.
And a little bit to talk about both of these players as we're starting up here. Both of these players having played, a lot of Ori, but JHobz having a much better sum of best. He has over a minute better sum of best as both of these runners are starting off here in Glades.
Well, Richard, I'm going to put you on the spot now then, and I'm going to say, who do you think is going to win this race?
Despite JHobz having, a significantly better sum of best, I do think that Fant will be taking this race, as I put him down in my prediction bracket as the winner of this race.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to go against you here, and I'm going to rep my boy JHobz, because I believe that, Fant has told us a lot as a runner that the nerves often get to him during races like this. He even told us about some strats that he will not be doing because he believes his hands will be shaking too much. So JHobz is a player who plays best under pressure, and I believe that's going to come to bear tonight. But we're going to see, and the race is going to get started in earnest as they both pick up sign, as we would expect, at pretty much the same moment.
And so just talking a little bit about the nerves, Fant in race chat was actually talking about how much his hands were shaking. So a little bit scary, but, hopefully we won't see too many issues out of both of these runners, as they have a pretty synced Frankie fight here.
Yeah, and Fant actually even switching to mouse to do that. That's why he's listed as hybrid, is that he will periodically take his right hand off his controller and just put it on the mouse and use the mouse only to do some of the scroll wheel shooting that full KBM players get to enjoy. JHobz sticking with entirely controller, except for one trick at the very end of the run. But here you're seeing, look how closely matched the runners are. Their early games basically look identical. Neither of them getting trolled by the jump pad. Both of them making pretty much the same movements. This is just super fun to see already.
Yeah, and we're going to see both of these players getting these keystones. JHobz having a little bit of difficulty there, did not pull the rock out all the way, so that just gives Fant a couple second lead here as they go towards this ghost door.
Yeah, that can easily be obliterated. JHobz might have, it appears he might have picked up a health on the log there, not 100% sure, but that might cause some problems for him in the water. But Fant actually also having 2 health, so both of them having to take a slightly longer swim, just evening out the difference that could have given JHobz a little bit of an advantage there.
Yeah, and both of these players getting this 4th health cell. We've seen a lot of the, I guess, mid-tier runners in this tournament and even top-tier runners get this health cell for the safety that it provides throughout the run, and that is no different from these players as they come down here towards wall jump.
Oh, and there's yet again an equalizer, that little bit of trolling from the XP from the flower there on Fant. And now they're even again with a very tiny slight advantage to JHobz, which could easily be, you know, broadcast delay or something. So can't really say either way at the moment, but they're both doing really well. JHobz is going to damage boost the bramble wall here, while Fant is going to shoot the brambles out of his way, pick up some XP. And JHobz is still getting the level up on the way down, so is Fant. So they're both basically neck and neck, coming into wall jump, about 1 second advantage for JHobz.
And this is not a big advantage at all because there is quite a lot of run left, and even with the next section of the game going towards BRB, there are a lot of cycles there that if you miss one, you can lose much more than what the difference is right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. And more certainly for both runners' sake, be hoping not to see those kind of things. You really want to see it just be decided on pure execution, but at the same time, not dying is a factor of execution. So if you know, one of the runners takes to death, that kind of does speak to their execution. But hopefully it will not happen. It will just be, you know, decided by their other play and maybe other mistakes, like that little bit of a hang up on the wall by JHobz there.
Yep, and you can see JHobz doing neutral jumps right at the top as he gets over to these platforms, making sure that he's able to get over, and then going to be damaging through these enemies as he makes it through. And as he goes towards BRB, he's going to actually, I believe, take a save at the top that is called the Terra save, as popularized by one of our runners, Terra, in this tournament.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that no one ever thought to make a save along the way here before, but Terra's just like, I have energy. I'm not doing anything with it. I might as well throw down a save. Fant looked like either skipped it or he did it while I was looking away from his screen. He did take some extra damage a little bit earlier in that elbow, but he is okay. JHobz is actually turning back to pick up that XP from the Brambles, so now they are again neck and neck. All of the mistakes prior to this you know, wiped away again, and we're back to the save anywhere glitch that we've seen a lot in this tournament.
Yeah, and you can see he was 42 experience away, so maybe he's used to having a little bit more experience at that point, but even if he didn't pick up that couple XP, he still would have been fine with killing off the 3 slimes that you would normally kill here in BRB, since they will both be getting the 100 XP orb.
That's right, and that's a precise jump that they'll both need to do in just a moment here. After picking up and then dropping this orb, a safety save for both runners right before going back across. Never a bad idea. It can result in your cycles getting thrown off for Black Burrows, but it really doesn't matter compared to not dying. And both of them getting the first try jump up to this XP. So they're still just right there along with each other, and they're both also doing the reload strats here to get their cycles manipulated for the next portion of BRB.
Both of these players pretty much tied jump for jump here as they're going towards the lasers. JHobz waiting for this first laser, but they're still going to have to meet at the cycle at the top. Unfortunately, JHobz taking a death there.
That is very, very unfortunate for JHobz. Sends him back to the left side there. Now, that's only around maybe a 15 or 20 second death, and that is definitely make-upable in the later stages of the run, but it's really not the foot you want to get started off on. Fant, we're not sure if he's watching the race, are we?
I believe that both players actually are, in fact, watching this race because there are strategic advantages as you get closer to the end of the run that you are aware of what your opponent is doing.
Oh, and JHobz is having a really rough cycle on these upper platforms, too. He had to wait a long time, but it looks like he did manipulate them correctly. Fant is already on into the dash room, so yeah, if he's watching closely, he'll have seen that death from Hobbs, and he'll know that he is able to be a little bit safe, but you can't be that safe necessarily. So he'll still have to play, his fastest and make sure that he prevents Hobbs from catching up. We'll see how that goes as Hobbs goes along in this run.
And as both of these players will be doing the traditional Darkness cutscene skip, I just want to talk a little bit about, Hobbs's mindset going into a death like that. So Vula, if you took a death like that early on with an opponent as close to a PB as yours, what do you think Hobbs is feeling right now, and what is going through his mind?
Well, I have to think with his, his frustration level with the game that he's had lately, it probably just reconjures that feeling for him, and it might just have him thinking like, are you kidding me again with this crap? Like, I've been working so hard on this game. Why is this happening to me? And, it's very hard in a race situation to fight that down. Just be like, look, I got to suck it up and play the game. I know Hobbs is, able to fight through a lot of that kind of thing. So we'll see. He was able to fight through a lot of spaghetti and stay very close in his previous race against Raziel, which ended up knocking him down here. But he was still very close behind. Fan now is beginning his Frankie walk, so we'll see how this goes for him. There's for a little while now, there's really only minor opportunities for Hobbs to make up time, but Fant could always, have some sort of shenanigans with the grotto cycle or something, I suppose.
Yep, and so looks like we have around a 20-second difference as of the dash tree, as Fant getting a nice Frankie walk. Hobbs is going to be completing his soon. Fan coming through the Death Gauntlet now. A strategy that both players do is Death Glide. So we will see here. Actually, Fan opting not to go for it.
Yeah, it's correct. He had actually told us he will not go for this trick specifically because his hands are shaking too much, he said, during the nerves of the races. He is getting safely through, though, to the third energy cell, drops the safety save, so he's locked in to continue down the Boomer's hideout. Hobbs doing the swim through the Death Gauntlet with no problems and getting past the Frankie. A little bit of a scare there, but he is able to pull off the Death Glide there. So very nice execution from Hobbs, very nice execution from Fant. Do we see
right side? Very nicely done from Fant as he gets the early grotto cycle.
That is a really great thing for his confidence, for sure, helping him, provide just that little extra bit of lead. We'll see if Hobbs is able to pull it off from two.
Yep, so Hobbs here on the left side. Nice couple dashes, and he gets it as well. Very nicely done.
Wow. He made that look easy. That didn't even seem like he was close to missing it. That is fantastic from him as well. As Fant coming into double jump and will learn his regroup skill, ability, whatever. And he will be leaving the area as Hobbs is coming in. We'll see a quick high five from them here as Fant is doing his blind movement now.
Yeah, and so you talked about this a little bit, the death from Hobbs, maybe lighting the fire a little bit and making him play a little bit better with all this nice clean movement as he gets out of double jump. We'll see how both of these players do on their grotto skips. So Fant in this tournament both players actually have gotten first try 3 different times, but other times they have had a little bit of issues with it.
Yeah, Fant's overall success rate not super hot. We're seeing him work on it right now. He does pull it off first try. Hobbs' movement has been very clean. It is still a 20-second delta, but after leaving the double jump tree, Fant had a couple quick instances of taking some damage and just needed to, be a little bit careful to make sure that he didn't take a death unintentionally. But he is able to continue on his way, and Hobbs, for his part, also pulling off a first try grotto skip. So both of them really showing that they're here to play tonight.
Yep, so both players doing a save and reload here. Fant at the top, Hobbs at the bottom. So, just a small lead as they go towards Water Vein. And so I do want to point out, early game, these players are pretty close. But as we get to the later stages of the game, Hobbs does have a few strategies in movement that are a little bit faster than Fant. So, Fant probably comfortable with this lead, but definitely not taking it for granted.
Yeah, we mentioned in the opening that difference between their sum of bests. Not familiar with the sum of best if you're not, a speedrunner yourself. It just means the sum of their fastest times to complete each individual section of the game. And, obviously the the overall time, your personal best is one thing, but that sum of all those fastest times for each of those individual chunks just reflects how fast you could go if you played every section perfectly for yourself. And Fance is not quite as good as Hobbs, largely due to stuff like stomp cancels, which are an advanced technique that Hobbs is able to do, and Fant does not have set up to do. So we'll see if those do come into play in that late game. But of course, first we've got to get through all this complicated movement and these difficult tricks in the early game that could easily cause problems for Hobbs, and they have in the recent past in his runs.
Yeah, and so as Fant coming towards the Ginso tree here, the number that we're looking for is less than 13 for Fant's PB. He has a 1249 enter Ginso split, so this is, you know, very nice pace from him, and definitely going to be boosting his confidence if he's going to be able to be pretty close to that as he enters, which it looks like he's actually pretty ahead.
Yeah, he'll be well ahead of that pace. Now, it's always hard to say, you know, for any given runner's PB, whether they're ahead or behind because of, well, my early game was bad or whatever. But being ahead at any time is still a very positive thing. Fent will certainly feel very confident right now. Hobbs having a little bit of a run-in with those spinners before, but was able to get through without dying. Now, unfortunately, he misses this cutscene skip outside the Ginso tree, so just giving Fent a little more of an opportunity. However, we heard just now from the stats guys that it is an 8-second delta upon reaching that Ginso. Oh, sorry, that is probably his PB.
Yes, that is in fact his PB, since his PB had a 1249. But now Fant going to be coming into the puzzle room and into the mini boss. So again, for Fant, he will switch not to keyboard mouse, he will switch to controller mouse for this fight. So he wants to use the mouse for the scroll wheel ability. And Vula, can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so when you shoot sign, there's a little bit of a cooldown that you incur if you shoot twice in rapid succession. Now, if you're just casually pressing the button fast, that cooldown means that you don't really want to mash quickly. You instead want to plink, just press, 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 waiting a certain amount of time. However, if you have a scroll wheel, you can actually shoot basically one frame apart, and then it is faster to spam using that scroll wheel. So Fant is taking advantage of that, and he is getting some very nice cycles on this mini boss. 8 shots per time that it spawns, and he's able to take it out in what appears to have been 6 cycles, confirmed by our stats folks. Hobbs is not going to have access to that, and he's also going to be at 1 HP entering this mini boss, which is not a fun place to be.
Yeah, and Hobbs, despite that, being pretty good at his mashing, unfortunately not getting the best cycle there, as Fant going to be going over to the Bash tree. Had a little bit of awkward movement there in this room right before Bash, as we will see Hobbs here, fortunately taking a few more cycles to finish off this mini boss.
Yeah, he's getting kind of trolled by these spawns. This mini boss can spawn in 5 random locations. Unfortunately for Hobbs, he opts to drop his safety save anyway. He figures, I'm at 1 health, I just want to be safer than sorry. But he's trying to do a manipulation for his health, and unfortunately isn't able to pull it off, so his ghost door is just going to be a little more awkward, but that's all right. Oh, actually he does get it, so there you go. Fant has acquired Bash and is performing the redirect puzzle here. He's going to go for some nice non-double bash setups. You're pretty much not going to see any double bashes in this run. That's a trick that you may have seen in a lot of other runs performed by keyboard and mouse users, but for controller, it's much more difficult. Neither of these runners really incorporates that technique.
Yep, and so we saw Fant saving on the bottom platform for this key duplication. Let's see if he gets it quickly. I know it, a little bit slower than he probably would have wanted, having to take a few jumps there. But Hobbs going to be moving in shortly after. He's going to be also taking the bottom platform as well.
Yep, and able to get that bash on the projectile to make sure that it breaks that top barriers. Good job by him. Fant taking a little bit of his time on setting up his own key dupe. You have to get the death in that little spot near those spikes here that he just did. And that's pretty advisable when you have the lead. You just want to make sure I absolutely do not fail this trick. Hobbs, meanwhile, has to be a little more aggressive. Didn't get the fastest strat, but got in there pretty quickly, so that does make up a couple seconds over what Fant did, but Fant is still already done with the mini-boss and heading to his swamp entry now.
And now, a small note as they go towards their swamp entry. So there is a trick that you can do right before the swamp entry, and that is blind movement. So we will be seeing Fant opt not to go for the blind movement. And so a little bit of information is there are some laser cycles here. Fant will have the laser cycles, and it loses about a second, but he's going to be able to see as he goes towards his swamp entry, which he has had kind of a big failure rate with this tournament.
Yeah, it's a very difficult trick consisting of a very complicated sequence of bashes with precise angles, and it is very easy to have problems with it. Fant is looking to drop a safety save before it, but the frog gets in the way. JHobz is making his way towards the same trick, and he will be opting for that cutscene skip, which means that his safety save will be a lot further back because he won't be dropping a second one. But Fant has his frog in position now. He is getting it deep into the corner here, picks up the cell, redirects his bashes appropriately, and he will be through. Well done for Fant, making sure that JHobz can't catch up to him on this very difficult trick.
Yeah, but, you know, Fant maybe having a little bit slower movement in it. We'll see if JHobz has some pretty good movement here. The frog kind of staying towards the middle there. Is kind of awkward from him, but JHobz looking like he's got a nice setup here for the frog. And he does get through.
That was textbook. Oh, yeah, my goodness.
Very nicely done. And JHobz going for the hyper speed here as well. Fant, we saw, did not go for a hyper speed. It's when you reload and then you're after you save and dash, and just going a little bit faster and being able to go up towards Stomp.
I think this speaks to both runners as they high-five as Fant is leaving the Stomp tree here, but it speaks to both runners' kind of approaches. JHobz is kind of in the mindset of go for everything that I can go for that is even like slightly reasonable for me to try, and eventually I will learn how to do all of it, and then I'm going to be good. I won't have to go learn a bunch of new stuff. Fant is a lot more incremental in his approach and kind of has been throwing things in gradually over time. That hyperspeed only saves half a second. To half a second, JHobz says, of course I'm going to add half a second. Why not? I want that half a second the whole time. Fant says, I don't really need that right now. I can get it later.
And on the right side, we see Fant going towards Kuro cutscene skip. He's gotten it 3 races of the 4 that he's done this tournament, and unfortunately, missing it here. This gives JHobz an opportunity to catch up.
That is really big. This cutscene is 17 seconds long, Richard. He's going to be staring at a bird for a lengthy period of time, just thinking about how much JHobz is catching up.
This is insane. So we're going to see Fant not opt for this 5th health. JHobz will not either. And JHobz, unfortunately, missing the Kuro cutscene skip as well. He's going to reload and try to save 4 seconds with it.
He does take a death there, so that unfortunately probably negates any possible time loss. He does get the hyper speed there, but yeah, he gets it on the 2nd try. Meanwhile, Fant is already out with the 5th energy cell and is making his way towards Charge Flame. So unfortunately, JHobz missing out. Oh my god, everything is okay. Richard, what's happening?
This is extremely scary movement from JHobz. Taking a dip in the water, and no, unfortunately, taking a death there, losing just a little bit more time and slipping away from Fant as he goes into Charge Flame.
Yeah, and Fant has made no major mistakes so far. He continues on a blistering pace. He did lose a fair bit of it to that missed Kuro cutscene skip, but he is, we're told by folks in the stats truck that he was around 20 seconds ahead net, counting the Kuro cutscene skip, so that is very impressive for Fant.
Yeah, but talking about, you know, big places for time loss, Fant is going to be coming up into some very technical tricks. The first of which is going to be Fast Stompless, which he has not yet gotten in this tournament, the way it looks from the stats. He's attempted it twice, and he hasn't even gone for it twice.
Well, Fant is not the only one having problems with this trick, that's for sure. JHobz has also had an incredibly hard time with this trick. It is a very difficult trick to do at all, but particularly on controller, there's one specific really annoying thing about it, and that's the angle you fire the spider shot. And on keyboard and mouse, there's a clear cue where you can put the mouse for it. Fant is going to be taking advantage of that. For JHobz, he's on pure controller, so he has to aim that by basically eyeing the angle. And he's had a really tough time with it lately, to the extent that it has just absolutely frustrated the crap out of him. We're going to see if that's going to make a difference for him, but Fant, meanwhile, is beginning his first.
He's going to be switching to mouse here for specifically this angle, and he's putting both hands back on the controller. The shot looked nice. He's going to take the damage boost here to make sure he can get to the cell in time, and he does, in fact, get it.
Beautiful for Fant. And JHobz just has to hope that he can match that performance as he comes up. He is a fair bit behind still because of not being able to capitalize on that missed career cutscene skip, but a fast stompless miss would certainly be a really tough thing for him to suffer right now. Here we go as he aims his shot. Oh, that looks perfect. He just needs to get the movement back to the cell.
Nicely done from JHobz as he gets stompless as well. Both of these players still just, you know, one mistake away from this race here, as Fant going to be taking a safety save before his Sorrow Bash. We're not going to see JHobz take the same save, but we'll just focus on the right side now as Fant goes towards his Sorrow Bash.
Yep, he is manipulating the birds into precise position. He bonks it on the spikes and takes a death, and he's back at the safety save, which is fortunate for him because otherwise he would be literally tied with JHobz right now.
He's taking another death here, though. That is really unfortunate.
Oh, but JHobz takes one too as he takes an accidental dash into the frog, and he just wants to be at full health for Sorrow. So he's going back to collect the frog again. Fant taking another death in the spikes. JHobz is up into his Sorrow Bash now too. They're neck and neck again. And JHobz is going for this, what we generally call the Vooligan version of this trick where he takes a death, unfortunately, but Fant does.
The nerves really coming into play for both of these players right now. They know how close this is. You know, Fant was doing pretty well, but probably feeling extremely shaky after knowing the lead that he had. And maybe these deaths are causing a little bit more frustration as JHobz taking another death too.
I can't believe this. This is such a weird place for this to be happening. I mean, I know this is one of the hardest tricks in the run, but after all the stuff they've done perfectly, they're both just having a very scary time right now. No. JHobz damaging his bird, Fant putting it too low. They're still both having problems, and they're both just wondering who's going to get through this first, Richard.
I have no clue, but I can't handle this.
Fant looks good. He's in. JHobz, I think he might... Oh no, he dashed away. He couldn't get it that time, and so Fant maintains the lead that he already had. JHobz could still keep it the same as it was before by getting Sorrow Bash on this attempt, but Fant is going to be blazing through Sorrow now, and we'll see whether he opts to drop any safety saves.
And Fant wisely taking the safety save before the spike cave, knowing that this race is insanely close as JHobz makes his Sorrow Bash right now.
Wow.
Oh, what is happening?
I don't know, dude. This is incredible, and it keeps the lead that Fant had basically the same. After all that, it's pretty much the same lead that he already had. JHobz will not opt to drop the safety save. This is a very gutsy decision. It looks like it's okay so far. He's having some very scary moments, but he makes it to the ghost door, sets up his save anywhere for the Terror Break, and he and Fant are going to high five again as he is right behind him.
Yeah, and so both of these players opting to have their save anywhere for the Terror Break from the ghost door. Fant, having a little bit of scary movement at the end there as he sets up his Terror Break, but making it through. JHobz having a little bit of trouble here making it across to the right.
Yeah, he didn't get a bash glide properly out of that section, so he got slowed down a lot, and that's thrown off all his movement here. But he is able to make it over to the ceiling, will get his save off, and break the ceiling. Fant has just broken before him. He'll wait on a laser cycle, but now he's on his way up. So it's still basically the same deficit as from Charge Jump Tree, which must have been at most 10 to 15 seconds.
And both of these players now coming up to Sunstone. Again, I just want to reiterate that Fant coming into Misty Woods. Misty Woods is JHobz's strong suit. He has put a lot of time and practice into his movement in Misty, and we will see if that pays off for him as both of them go down.
Yeah, and we're told that the deficit was 13 seconds at the Charge Jump Tree. So that is absolutely incredible. Even despite all of the Sorrow Bash shenanigans, actually turns out that JHobz was able to narrow that deficit.
Oh my god, Fant!
Oh,
taking
no!
a death to the spikes. This is so unfortunate for Fant. JHobz is now taken the lead as they go into
cannot
Misty.
believe that. And JHobz is navigating the same terrifying spike corridor, but he throws out a few feathers. Fant just not being able to avoid the lure of those tasty, tasty spike chips as he's making his way out. And this time does opt to throw some feathers in, so he will be right behind. But now is the strong suit for JHobz, the end game, where he has put in a ton of practice, and he has the advantage of stomp cancels, where you perform a charge dash, stomp out of it to refund the energy, and then you are able to jump out of the stomp and perform another charge dash immediately. Saves a ton of time and also allows you to extend your energy way more than you'd otherwise expect. Fant does not have access to that trick. Oh, wow, okay. And he is alive after a very scary near encounter with some spikes there.
I do want to point out, as Fant had an angle for the rocket jump up there at the start of Misty, his hands were shaking extremely hard. The angle was going back and forth pretty wildly there, as JHobz on the left side taking a couple damage. He is at 1 health right now. He needs to be extremely careful, even placing a safety save before getting the climb.
That is a great decision. And yeah, you can see in every one of Fant's bashes, watch that arrow, watch it shake. Fant is literally quaking in his boots right now. It's an incredibly tense situation. JHobz can't be much less tense than Fant right now, but he may be handling it better. We'll see as he performs his second half of Misty here. JHobz has his patented meatball strats at the end here that he really likes to do.
Actually having a little bit of trouble here with the rocket jump up from the frog. And so this gives Fant a little bit of an opportunity. When I say a little bit, I mean that cost JHobz a big chunk of time.
Oh yeah, there it is. Fant is just seconds behind now. That's exactly the opportunity he needed. He's not bothering with that meteor kick. But again, JHobz is really looking to perform those meatball strats, and it's a mandatory 3 damage boost at the end of this section when he only has 4
Fant
HP.
on the right side.
Oh my goodness, taking 3 damage off those spikes, Richard. I can't believe he survived there.
He's at 1 health, but he cannot take any safety saves. He knows how far behind he is. He's probably going to take one at the bottom here, but they are just still neck and neck. Fant still opting not to take a safety save until getting this energy. Maybe not.
There are
even
the meatball strats for JHobz, Richard. He takes 3 damage, and that is required as part of those strats. It's faster by about a quarter of a second, but that's the kind of guy that JHobz is. He's going into the mini-boss with 1 HP. He needs to not touch their hitboxes, but he misses the Fang Zoom. Quick kill. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. This is such a nervous race from both players. Fant going to be going for boom, 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 I believe. We'll see if he gets it.
Oh, not quite, but he manages to avoid taking damage there, and he's losing more and more seconds as JHobz is already making his way out. Fant still has to wait for this door to open, and it's really slow.
Yeah, and so JHobz is going to be teleporting out here very soon. We can see some stomp cancels in action as JHobz makes his way out, and Fant just very shortly behind. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these players are teleporting, have the teleport animations at the same time.
Well, it looks like around a 13 to 15 second lead for Fant, just guessing based on that animation. JHobz is already on his way into Blackroot Burrows and is hoping for some good performance there. He needs to beat those laser cycles. Fant is hoping for JHobz to take a nice dip into some spikes or one of those 2 lasers. But the way JHobz is playing right now, I'd be really surprised if he made a mistake like that. So it really may come down to those 2 last tricks in the run that we know JHobz does not like very much.
JHobz taking a charge dash to get across the Yoka laser there at the bottom. And he's going to be now going through the this cutscene skip as Fant also making his way over.
Yeah, and Fant will hopefully be able to save some time on here for Fant, that is, by getting a dash glide over this slowdown trigger from this tree, or from this cutscene trigger. Oh, but he doesn't, so he has to walk slowly as well. And we're going to see he's reloading in. I just want to make sure. Okay, good. He did skip the cutscene. We're all good. One more high five for the 2 runners there.
Yeah, and this high five is very close to that slow zone. As I want to talk a little bit about the end game, as both players right now are at 4 health. So a very important decision from both of these players, as they are still very close. Do they go for 5 health or 6 health? So we'll see both players in BRB get this 5th health cell. But both of them knowing how close they are to each other, do you think we'll see anyone sacrifice that 6th health?
Oh no! Fant taking the death from the top laser as he wasn't able to get over it quickly enough. I would be very shocked if we saw either runner drop the 6th health there. It's part of both of their PB runs and normal play. I'd be very shocked, but JHobz also now knows that he has a substantial lead thanks to that death if he's been watching closely, so he also knows it's totally okay to take those 4 seconds. I would still be surprised to see Fant try to drop it. It's very risky at this stage to try to learn how to 5 HP slim on the fly.
And now JHobz coming into Door Warp here as he goes towards Enter Horu. This split here, or this trick has been kind of rough for both of these players. JHobz has gotten 2 first try Door Warps and 2 third try Door Warps, so we'll see how he does here.
We know that this is basically JHobz's least favorite trick in the run. He doesn't like frame perfect tricks in general, but in particular this one because of the Q being so difficult, but he pulls it off first try with the incredible pressure here of Fant bearing down on him, and now he's saying to Fant, all right, fine, I pulled off my trick that I hate first try. What are you going to do about it? Fant needs to match that if he wants to have a chance here to be able to catch up.
Yep, and so JHobz here starting the escape. He's going to be going into one final scary trick of this run, and actually JHobz taking a small death here. This is actually kind of important because, you know, Fant pretty close to 35 seconds behind JHobz as Fant gets a nice 2nd try Door Warp.
That is beautiful. Fant is doing everything he can to keep up, but JHobz is well on his way in the final escape here, grabbing this projectile off of the thing. We got a correction, apparently it was first try. Fant even more impressive than we thought.
Wow.
But here we go with the 6 HP swim for JHobz, and he needs to make sure that he's able to get his bashes. One of them was a little bit scary, but he's able to make it out with 1 HP. Thank you to the 6th cell that he picks up, and here we go with the grenade jump.
Oh my god! And JHobz takes a death. Fant is now in the lead in the escape. Both of them are going to have to go for grenade jump here. This is a trick that they have had a lot of difficulty with. JHobz taking another death, unfortunately.
What a turnaround. Fant now has a clear runway to make it to the end, and if he's able to pull off the grenade jump first try, then he's going to seal a victory here, coming out of nowhere. Fant is doing the swim, is able to make it through, and here we go. He needs to avoid getting Sigma rocked as well. He carefully charge jumps up the side. Here we go, grabs the rock, and the other one jumps away from the wall to make sure his position is good, and he aims,
oh my god, and
he gets it!
Oh my god, what an incredible play from Fant. JHobz now coming up towards grenade jump. Oh my god, I can't believe that race.
What a turnaround for Fant. JHobz aiming his first grenade jump attempt. He can't get it on the first one. This is a frame perfect input. He gets it on the second one with the switch to KBM. JHobz finishing up the race. But Fant is the victor tonight as he will be holding right and taking Naru behind the tree to victory.
Barely 20 seconds away from JHobz's Fant, knowing how close it is, just going to be holding right as hard as he can to get a 35-02 in this race.
Wow, that's such a wow. As on JHobz's side, you've got to feel empathy for him. Like, that is such an unfortunate way to have your run come to an end there, and he does finish literally 20 seconds behind Fant. But oh my goodness.
Oh jeez. JHobz feeling extremely frustrated probably after that race. We'll see if we can talk to these players. And Vula, what an incredible race we just saw there.
Yeah, there's no other words for that. One might even describe it, and in this case, very rightfully, as fantastic. Just an absolutely great performance by both runners, but Fant holding on after falling behind from the laser death and sorrow, and just managing to, salvage his way to a victory with the death coming from JHobz in Mount Horu, and Fant being close enough behind to be able to take the victory.
Wow. Yeah, so as we can see here, Fant going to be playing against Covert Muffin in his next race. Now, as we kind of, settle in with this race here, we'll see. It seems like we do have Fant ready in our on-deck area, ready for an interview to talk about what was, frankly, just a roller coaster of a race.
That's also a good word for it. Those are both really good words. Yeah, we'll just as we're looking here at the bracket, you do see that the victor of this race, Fant, will be moving on to face number 13 seed Cover Muffin. Will continue on in the lower bracket of the Eki division, and JHobz unfortunately will be eliminated from the tournament. But now we will be joined by Fant. We'll go ahead and drag him in here. Fant, welcome in. Congratulations on the victory in an incredible race, and I'm just gonna let you talk.
I can't talk. That was too much. Like, the only thing that comes to mind is like, man, I feel really, really bad for JHobz. That should have been his victory, and just getting Sigma rocked at the end is like, oh man, I feel really bad.
Now,
I guess.
One question for you: did you witness that Sigma rock happen?
Yes, I watched it happen real time. Yeah, because I thought I was like, okay, I'm way too far behind. I look at it, I was like, okay, let's see if he gets his grenade jump, and it's like, oh man, not like this, please.
I mean, I'll ask you to, being honest, when you saw him get hit by the Sigma rock, what was your very first thought? Was it,
I can take this.
No.
I can do it. Well, okay, sorry. The first thing was like, oh man, JHobz, no, and then I can do this. Yeah, the first thing that came to my head is regret.
Yeah. As it came towards all of our minds as well. So talking a little bit about earlier in the race, I do want to talk about Sorrow a bit.
Yeah.
Do you want to just, I guess, talk us through what was going in, through your mind as you kind of made your way towards Sorrow Bash?
Hands, please stop shaking, please. I have the hardest time with that trick in races because my nerves get the best of me and I can't like aim my bashes properly, and seeing JHobz right on my tail there, I thought I was like, okay, this is it. I lost with, I don't know, I forgot how many times I was trying it. It is a lot.
And we saw your bash angles shaking pretty wildly throughout.
Did that actually show up? Oh man!
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see their ass. It's something. I mean, you've been through both the last tournament and this one now. This is your third victory in this tournament. If I recall correctly, you took the one last time in the preliminary match, right?
That's right. It was me versus Mr. Asmus, and then Hetfield got prompt revenge right after.
That's right. But you've done very well for yourself, but you do, you mentioned to us about the nerves being a major factor for you. Have you, through that experience, have you been able to come up with any good strategies for dealing with that, or do you just kind of rely on, I need to be good enough so that my nerves don't prevent me from winning, basically?
I don't really have anything that I know that works. I don't drink, so Terra's strategy unfortunately does not work for me. But, I just have to build enough confidence in errors that can happen in order to feel comfortable. And I had none of that for this. I mean, JHobz was right with me all the way to the end, and even when I was ahead for the first half, he was right there. I know he always said the nerves give him power, and once if he's behind, he's looking around he doesn't mess up anything. I saw him get fast stompless. I know he was having issues with that. And when we were tied, that's when the power went away at Sorrow Bash. It was oh man.
Yeah, that was rather inexplicable for both of you. I guess, to talk about that a little bit, for your perspective, of course, you were mentioning the nerves and your hand shaking, and that certainly makes a lot of sense because those bash angles are precise. And from JHobz's perspective, he's learned a very challenging new method of Sorrow Bash very recently. So
it's your method, right, Illusion?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not touching that with the 10-foot pole. I tried it once, and I was like, no, this is not for me. I'll take the slow Sorrow entry to not have to deal with that.
Well, gosh, not Hobbs, Fant. Your next opponent is the number 13 seed Covered Muffin. Currently, his PB is just shy of 2 minutes faster than yours. However, he does the What's 20 Seconds route. It has been a while since he's been close to that PB. And I know that he's also talked about his, struggles with nerves and stage fright. I wonder, does that kind of thing give you any particular, make you feel any particular better about that match? And in general, how are you approaching that match?
It means that there is a chance. Like, Cover Muffin, no doubt about it, is definitely the favored one in this matchup. But I think over the next week, I can grind some better times. Like, I was holding off implementing a bunch of new strats I've been practicing because I needed to get through this first. And now that I have, I'm going to start practicing those over the weekend, like early in the week. Hopefully that gets me to like a lower 33 time and makes it a little bit closer. If I can close the PB gap to be within about a minute, I think if Muffin continues the meme with the What's 20 Seconds route, it's doable, but it will require some slop on Muffin's end. Because even with the crazy route he does, he's been on 30 pace so many times. He just needs to get a clean run together. So I want to say he's better with the What's 20 Seconds route than his current PB tells. He can easily whip out a 31 this tournament.
That is true. And so one final question from me, Fant. So your initial goal coming into this bracket stage actually was to beat Hobbs. Do you have kind of more aspirations now that you finished that match and are going to be facing Covert?
Well, originally it wasn't my goal because we were in separate brackets, but then once the brackets rearranged, the first thing I noticed about it rearranging is I got a message in Discord from Hobbs saying, "You're going down, nerd." And then I was like, wait a minute, what? We were in separate brackets. I looked through, I was like, oh, someone dropped, okay. Everything's shuffled, and I was like, okay, I need to make it there. I need to beat him. He threw the first stone. Well, here's my response.
Well, that was a heck of a response. And, we talked a little bit about the fact that, Hobbs is kind of the one that brought you into this community in the first place. Surely that makes it all the sweeter to be able to knock him off and show, kind of how far you've come since that time.
Yeah, but it's a bittersweet thing too, because I know Hobbs has been really frustrated with the game lately, and losing at the last second when you basically had it in the bag, it's got to be really rough. And I hope he bounces back from it and continues to play Ori, continues to do that. I know he was saying oh no, once this tournament's done, I'm gonna go do other things, but I hope he comes back, continues doing all the wonderful help he does with the restreaming stuff and getting all the brackets. I hope we continue to see him be a big part of the community that way.
Oh, I have no doubt that'll continue, as Hobbs is no stranger to having kind of setbacks and frustration and stuff, and I'm sure that he'll be able to get back with us before too long, but he'll probably want a night off completely, understandably.
Yeah, understandable.
Well, Richard, you got any more topics to bring up, or do you want us to close up?
No more topics. I do want to give a big shout out, though, to Smashy for restreaming 6 whole matches today. What an incredible amount of matches.
Thanks, Smashy.
Yeah, giving up her entire day to do this and bring all these matches to you on these 2 channels over the course of the last 7 hours. So a major shout outs to Smashy. Of course, shout outs to all the commentators and stats folks that have helped us out today. That's a really long list, so we're just going to go with the inclusive all of them. But we will be back in an hour on Speed Gaming 2. We've got one more match for you tonight. We've got Chicken Supreme versus Sekinar coming to you from the lower bracket of the Leru division. So look forward to that. That'll be in an hour again on Speed Gaming 2. Richard, it has been an incredible pleasure to cast this incredibly exciting match with you.
You as well.
And that's going to be it for us for this broadcast. So again, come on back. Speed Gaming 2, 1 hour. We'll see you then. Have a good one.
damage as they head through. So, ooh, nice job. And wow, Yoko. Oh,
No.
goodness.
Oh no, Yoko. Oh my goodness. Please be careful.
He hasn't taken any like really bad deaths as result, but
Oh no.
no! Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
Yeah, true shade. So we're going to see what D2 decides to do. Nice safety save there. And wow, the value from the safety save.
The trick itself requires precisely positioning a frog and managing your XP, but because that can happen, because that froggy has a chair and it can stomp it right on your tiny little head.
Oh god, Milton, get out of there!
Holy crap, the recovery from that.
Like, it's deceptive. Ooh, deceptively difficult. Rufus,
Holy
so close.
crap,
No.
Rufus.
Oh.
Oh god.
Is it?
And what is happening now?
I don't know.
Oh, Monkey's shot going through.
Oh, he's missed the double bash though. He's gotta go back up. Monkey's shots are facing the floor. I hope he does not hit that on the upper one. Jesus, broken his swamp.
Oh,
now.
Monkey getting hit by the shot.
Metal that Terra did. Oh, missing that, but he's got the backup. That's okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh, God.
Terra. Oh my gosh. Okay, try again. This time you can get to the platform.
What you've seen from runners like Lucidus, Uncle Ronnie, and Eviona so far in the tournament, and oh wow,
damn.
I do not know how he survived.
Both runners getting that 5th.
Oh, Randomson had a really... Wow, what a nice backup, though. Randomson had trouble with the first spider shot, but now it's basically tied.
Go stomp the rocks. And oh,
Fluffy,
I
what
didn't know you could do that. Can you
Oh
really
my
just keep
goodness.
moving and skip that cutscene?
Oh god, Hori's in the air! Hello!
Oh no. Oh, Frankie. Frankie, please go away. Oh, that is so
no.
painful.
Oh, this is a party.
Luckily, he does have a safety.
Yeah, mini boss not quite going according to plan. Melvin's gonna go with the stomp spam. Keep that frog away. Get out of here. Don't hit me with your chair. He says he gets through it okay, and we'll be just finishing up Misty.
The section is really difficult with the 5 health. Alright, he gets the bash off of the fish. So yeah, he gets through, but upcoming here is...
He's gone through!
Oh, he died! Death! Richard is in the lead. No, they're tied. Richard just died as well.
What?
This is literally synced in the final escape, guys. Unbelievable.
They both stopped the thing together. Okay.
Each one of those grenades costs 1. He's got 1 left. That's enough for 2 grenade jump attempts. If he keeps missing in that particular way, he's got 1 chance left.
One more.
And he gets it. The
First
clutch.
try, and well, not first try, but you know what? First try.
We'll call it first try.